Hello everybody, this is Gregory with how I lost over 100 pounds and have kept it off for 30 plus years, where there should be no hesitance in your weight loss and maintenance. Today we're going to talk about what do you do when your weight loss stagnates. Now before we begin, if you need help from the weight loss, especially from the psychological point of view, contact me through the Clarity FM link found here in the episode notes. Also check out my website, Naturopathic Earth, which has tons of recipes and articles, my podcast, The Awaken Man, which has about 390 episodes, my 2 books, and if you really appreciate my content, there is a link for PayPal. All right, so I did mention tangentially in the Confessions of an Obese Child series, I think in the final episode when I lost my weight, that I did have a couple of the weight loss stagnations. And what does that mean? Well, you're losing weight, you've built some momentum, and then you encounter a couple of weeks where there's no weight loss, and you get frustrated. I know personally, I would weigh myself. I mean, this was 1990, but I do still have some memories of it. I would weigh myself every Friday in my parents' scale, and they had like the legitimate scale, not the sit-down scales. And it's frustrating because you've lost some weight. Maybe it was more than what I lost when I had my first stagnation, which was about 15 pounds out of the 100. Maybe you've lost 50, 55, and then you hit this rut where you're not losing weight. So what do you do? Well, I think we have certain, biohacks and tools that we have today that we didn't necessarily have back when I lost my weight in the early 90s. So the number one thing, in my opinion, is, of course, you have to persevere. You can't just give up. And weaker people give up. You know, there's this old book I read about 120 years ago. It was written 120 years ago. Not Rip Van Winkle. I haven't been around 120 years. But it talked about migration patterns of Americans in the early 19th century and how a lot of the colonists from Pennsylvania and New York, they had to go over the Appalachians to get to the Northwest Ordinance, which is present-day Ohio, Indiana, a very fertile area. And the book talked about how like the weaker people who didn't want to endure stopped in the Appalachians in present-day West Virginia instead of getting to the better quality land. And it's kind of the same thing here, how you have no benefit and no good comes from just stopping and giving up. Like, oh, I did 15 or I did 20. My body's not going to do it. Because again, weight loss is all psychological. Because everything else that comes from it, exercise and diet, all comes from the mind. And we can easily rationalize anything, right? Oh, see, my body's telling me I can't lose any more. Even though I got to lose 80 more, I guess I'll just stop here. And then next thing you know, you're going to gain it all back out of just discouragement. So number one is perdure. Last, continue, keep doing what you're doing, because eventually the stagnation will typically stop and you'll start losing weight. The body is adjusting. And I mean, there's some studies that would suggest that if you reduce your caloric intake, your body's going to be like, whoa, and slow down the metabolism. A lot of studies don't really indicate that though, because like, fasting is so popular right now. A lot of people fast and their metabolism does not slow down. But number one is endure. Number two is you can certainly biohack your body. And as I just mentioned, fasting would be a great biohack. Now I know probably many of you who are trying to lose weight already do a compressed eating window. We have 2 videos on fasting. I've been doing it every day since November 2014. And you might be doing a 6-hour eating window or an 8-hour eating window. Well, if you hit a stagnation period, go to a 4-hour eating window, 3-hour eating window, OMAD. Now, when you are eating, don't overcompensate by just gorging yourself. But that's a nice little biohack. Increase your exercise. Change up your exercise. Now, I would recommend, depending if you're a man or a woman, of course, but even women need to do some strength training and some cardio for sure for weight loss. And I've told it with you guys, like, don't be the 3-hour weightlifting gym rat, because all you're doing is getting bigger, but you're getting fatter. You're not losing the gut. You got to lose all the gut first, then you rebuild the muscles. But it's hard for men to hear that. As demonstrated by the fact that when I go to the gym, most of the men are overweight, are lifting, and none of them are doing cardio, which they should be doing. And I'm not saying strength training is not important, but in terms of what you need to do at this moment, it needs to be more cardio. So mix up the cardio. If you've been doing like the elliptical, some people put it on to resistance to watch Netflix. No. I mean, your workout should be pretty intense. So mix up your workout, change up your routine, try rowing, try running, try sprinting, try everything. So mix things up. You've hit a stagnation point. It could be because just your body's gotten accustomed to what you're doing every day. So shock the body, right? We talk about move the body, shock the body. Move the body, do your walk, shock the body, do your crunches and your sit-ups and your calisthenics all through the day. So what I would tell you is if you hit a rut, number one is don't give up, right? It even rhymes. If you hit a rut, don't give up. That's the worst thing you can do. Keep doing what you're doing in terms of eating well. Don't become discouraged. Because it's kind of like when we get stressed out of traffic, we're like, oh, we're all apoplectic. And then a week later, we don't even remember that we were stressed out. But think of all the cortisol we released during that stressful time. It's kind of the same thing. When your weight loss resumes in a year, 2 years from now, you're going to be grateful that you didn't give up. So you have to endure and then biohack it. Get better sleep, lower your stress, eat even better, maybe lower your amount of sugar that you're doing, lower your caloric intake, increase your exercise, change your exercise, and shorten your eating window. Those are the advice. That's the advice that I would give you. Guys, post in the comments. Let me know if you've have gone through this. I'd like to hear from you. Hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. Until next time, take care. God bless and pray.